Okay, it's good to be here. It's a very important event, and I'm very grateful to the organizing committee, but also to the University of Copenhagen here for hosting all of us. What I'm going to discuss is where longevity meets AI. I would say we are all here together because we have a belief that longevity medicine and longevity research will usher us into a better future, healthier living, longer living, which is incredibly important for all of us as individuals, but also for our society. Now, AI is bringing a revolution in healthcare, and therefore, as a proxy of it, is also bringing a revolution, potentially, in how we tackle longevity. There are various aspects in this. I'll try to provide areas of possible impact, and then I'll delve mostly into the area of advancing R&D for longevity. Now, for those of you that are interested in how AI is transforming medicine, there is a great book that actually we co-authored. Peter Lee, who is heading up our research organization, co-authored that, and looking at the sparkles of artificial intelligence in medicine. But there is, on the other side of that slide, a very bold claim that actually we discussed with world leaders at Davos this year, saying that when we apply the full potential of cloud, general artificial intelligence, high-performance computing, and quantum, you can really extract knowledge, share knowledge, and make it so that you can shrink what it would take to do the next 250 years of scientific discovery to the next 25. And this is a paramount shift in how you run experiments, in how you bring knowledge in the hands of researchers in a seamless way, and also it brings incredible potential to study longevity. Now, I'm a health economist, so I also look at the equation of what's sustainable, what's possible. I've been starting actually my career in oncology patients programs, so I'm also very interested in how does the patient live the journey through disease and actually through what should be a healthy life. I loved, by the way, the talk on menopause because it's definitely an enabler for better societal longevity. And when I think about the opportunity that we have marrying technology and scientific progress, I'm definitely challenged. I've been, 20 years at Microsoft, and I keep looking at this space and say, wow, we are at the brink, really at the brink of an acceleration. So this is how I think about AI and longevity. And there would be actually a talk for each of these pillars. But, first of all, from the left, we have seen, and Alex is here from InSilico, he has done incredible work on this. We have seen really the opportunity of AI to help first understand diseases better, find, targets faster, keep accuracy in that. If I move on the side, optimizing really trials and understanding also which trials have the higher probability of success. But then we come to the third pillar, which is, I go back to my economics and health policy piece. We have a capacity issue, which we cannot ignore. We're all so excited about the potential in R&D. There is a lot of money pouring into startups in this space, and that's great. But we're going to have to balance the equation and keep a people sustainability element here. As much as we advance the research to make sure that we stay in life longer and we stay healthier, we need to care for all of us that live longer. And with the increase of the health span, we have seen that when it comes to Alzheimer, when it comes to cardiovascular, when it comes to diabetes, in the next 25 years, these conditions will triple. And even without tripling that, if we think about it right now, we have less money for retirement and comorbidity, and nobody looking after us. So there is a capacity question, and I'll give you one example on that in a bit, but how do we enable doctors to make sure that there is more time to care? Because simply, we don't have enough time and enough doctors, 13 million of gap, which is estimated by the WHO. And then on the last side, the incredible advances in imaging and in understanding of biomarkers, which brings early diagnostics and refuels the opportunity to do faster R&D and so on. So it's a cycle. This is the only one example that I'll bring for capacity, but it's interesting because in some of the talks before, we spoke about actually the ability of clinicians, which are on the front line, to adopt the latest technology. The minister also spoke about it. So imagine that you can really transform the patient-to-doctor consultation, which is the most intimate moment in the health journey. And with consent, you can translate a conversation into text, structured text, leaving the doctor in control. So being able not to have to transcribe, not to have an assistant and more personnel doing that work, but really transcribed in an automated way. And then quickly control, make sure that that's structured, more queryable information that goes into the electronic medical record. You save an incredible amount of time. You bring capacity, but also you bring a structured form to then understand what is happening, and you empower that doctor to understand the cohort that he's looking at. So there is a great opportunity here. I said I would bring just one example of capacity. I'll stick to that. And now I move on to the R&D element. But this, if we could just have this, and this is clinical ambient solutions that now in the US is becoming the excellence of practice and internationally coming as well, this would free up quite a bit for us to care for people. Now, if we go back to R&D, we are at a point where longevity research, investment in startups, longevity medicine discoveries are really accelerating pace. There is an opportunity to bring the latest developments of AI into the core of it. And so what we're seeing is that the combination of artificial intelligence solutions that become a co-pilot to the researcher. That means I can seamlessly, in my flow of work, really access many more data sets, private, public data set, reason over it in minutes versus having to struggle and not being able to read all the papers that one would have to read. I was wondering during the last talk, oh my God, just synthesize all that literature and what comes next and what comes next and what is the help that can be brought to make sure that you can actually do your human reasoning, but you have the ability to query with context and then starting formulating an hypothesis which AI can do and which you will validate. And then the system will learn from that. So that's the acceleration capacity. The second thing is you need to start optimizing those workflows as well, because there is nothing worse than when I have to shift from one app to another app to another app. So that ability to actually optimize the workflow in a lab as one shifts from wet labs into a full in silico mode. That is really happening today. And what is interesting is that we have done a lot of work on materials and now in proteins. But in materials, we went from screening 32 million compounds to identify a new battery element with 70% less lithium in the amount of 80 hours. And that would have taken incredible amount of time. So if you transpose those same capabilities now we are testing into proteins, into understanding the language of nature, we're at the cusp of a wonderful acceleration in discovery. And here, I wanted to bring some examples of how this has been applied. There would be many more. I wanted to just, by no means it reflects the full incredible work that Alex and his team have done. With in silico has been really pioneering in this field. But on the left side, for example, just the power of going through clinical trials and the 60,000 documents that are produced as you bring one product to market. So how do you go through all of that? How are you able to understand context in a real way? In the first 70 days of use of AI solutions, these researchers were able to save, 250,000 working hours. And then when you look at the work on imaging, the ability to understand what is happening from algorithms that understand imaging of the human brain to some of the latest developments in eye imaging and the OCT capabilities in order to identify biomarkers for Alzheimer's. All of that is getting accelerated today with the new developments. We just launched actually a partnership with an organization in this space to go towards FDA validation. And then digital pathology, when you think about the difficulty of analyzing a digital path slide, there was never a foundation model that was able to access that because of the intensity and I would say computing power of a digital pathology slide. And now there is, for the first time, a foundation model, GigaPath, that allows that for all the researchers, for all the scientific excellence that the researchers can bring to this field. Now, you may say, all of that works, but we need, in any case, to be sure that we tackle that last part, which is diagnostics. If we do not diagnose earlier, we're not going to be able to have sustainability of healthcare and the budgets shifting to prevention in a way that makes it a sustainable healthcare equation. I think that for this audience is almost like very important to think about the charter of sustainability of longevity. It is foundational. If not, at this point, it's like having a very, very fast car that is going to hit the wall at some point because we cannot care for the people in an effective way, and people will live longer, but will not have the treatment and the support system that is needed. And then I wanted to conclude with some future perspectives. Some future perspectives, particularly when it comes to what is needed as we think about the acceleration in R&D. There is one element, which is AI needs data, and scientific discovery has accelerated because we were able to go beyond a certain type of data set, from clinical to omics to the full social determinants of health. And those capabilities are now being integrated with general artificial medical intelligence, which is a new category of models. And so that, I think, is going to be an extremely powerful tool. But also, when we think about the ethical considerations of accelerating research in this space and making sure that there is inclusion in where we do longevity research, longevity care, and the right care delivery. It cannot be remaining to a subset of the population. And with that, I also wanted to close with a personal element. We know the telomere and all those researches that is happening there from a medical perspective. I personally, as a meditator, actually think that there is a full view of healthcare where you also self-manage your pace, your recovery. So meditation, nutrition, but also novel technologies like the ones that relate to the stimulation of the vagus nervous system and that enable that faster reset as something that is going to bring actually new opportunities for a better living together with a longer living for all of us. And with that, thank you very much.